At this time in organizational history, we are breaking from traditional paternal or maternal and bureaucratic forms of organizations to high involvement, empowered partnership, and collaborating learning organizations. It is no secret that we're living in a highly complex world and a rapidly changing environment. This is often known as a VUCA, V-U-C-A world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The pandemic has given us a true lived experience of the VUCA world. While thought leaders have been saying for some time that our traditional ways of leading are no longer working, the pandemic shined a spotlight on it. In complex environments, cause and effect is not known. Leaders must be willing to engage multiple perspectives, to experiment with new ways of being and doing, and to learn from what emerges. The heroic leader, leader as expert or leader as achiever, is not effective in an unpredictable environment. Jennifer Garvey Berger, one of the leading scholars on complexity leadership, states that leadership of the future requires us to keep an eye on three things: vision, people, and task. Leaders must have a vision for the future and how to get there so that people will follow. And they must be open to other ideas so they add perspectives and engage people in a purposeful way. The universal model of leadership developed by Robert Anderson and William Adams provides a framework for effective leadership in complexity. I will provide a high-level overview of the model. You can learn more by going to their website or reading their book, Mastering Leadership. The universal model of leadership incorporates the latest of leadership and psychological theories. It focuses on the inner operating system of the leader, the assumptions and beliefs and structures of mind that drive leadership behaviors, and their relationship to leadership competencies. The inner operating system is often the blind spot of leaders and leadership. The first thing to notice about the model is that it's a circle. In a circle, every part touches and relates to the other parts. The model assumes that you are not a list of competencies. You are a whole being with a dynamic complexity. All of these dimensions are part of every person. I was first introduced to the model in 2013 when I was certified to use the Leadership Circle Profile 360. I was attracted to it because it's holistic, it is developmental, and it informs nearly every competency framework that I've encountered, such as LEADS. It has become our framework for creating leadership development and coaching programs, whether or not a formal assessment is used. When a team works with the model, it gives them a common language to use to support each other in their development as individuals and as a team. You can see that the circle is divided into a north and south hemisphere by a horizontal line. The north side highlights the creative competencies. These are the leadership behaviors and internal assumptions that lead to highly effective leadership. There is also a circle within the circle. The 5 summary dimensions of creative competencies are relating, self-awareness, authenticity, systems awareness, and achieving. There are 18 competencies in the outer circle that relate to each dimension in the inner circle. The south hemisphere shows the reactive styles. These are the beliefs and assumptions that, although they have strengths associated with them, can limit effectiveness if overused. The 3 dimensions of the reactive styles are complying, protecting, and controlling. Those are the ones on the inner ring. There are 11 reactive styles in the outer ring. The black dot in the middle refers to identity, or the source from which we operate. Leading creatively is an inside-out process. The leader's ways of being and doing are driven by purpose, values, and vision rather than external sources of motivation. Leading reactively is an outside-in process. The leader's ways of being and doing are driven by external feedback, fear, and the desire to stay safe. The model can also be divided vertically. Everything on the right side of the circle has to do with task responsibilities, and everything on the left has to do with relationship or people responsibilities. This division between our preferences for people or task harkens back to the behavioral theories of the 60s. Some managers prefer to lean towards one side or the other, leading to a lower quality of overall leadership performance. The research on the universal model has shown that the most effective leaders have highly evolved creative competencies that are balanced between task and relationship. So in summary, or reactively in a way that is people or heart-centered, but may give up too much power in service of being liked and accepted. That's in the lower left quadrant. A leader can manage tasks creatively in a way that is purpose-driven and vision-focused, that translates into effective execution on results and systems improvement, which is the upper right quadrant, or manage reactively, over-controlling and driving the organization and people beyond sustainable limits. That's the lower right quadrant. The dynamism of the model is evident when we measure the competencies using a 360 or a self-assessment. When a person overuses the people reactive styles, it can have an inverse and opposite effect on the creative task side of the circle. As a result, the leader may not achieve the objectives or the outcomes that they're hoping for. When a leader overuses the reactive styles to manage tasks, it has an inverse and opposite effect on the creative relating quadrant. So people may not feel empowered to do their work, and they may manifest this as dissatisfaction and disengagement. Many leaders have been successful using the reactive styles if the demands of the environment and the responsibility are not overly complex. When VUCA qualities are present in a leader's experience, they may move into overwhelm, triggering emotions and behaviors that don't support effective leadership. Our reactive styles have evolved as we've navigated the world in a way that keeps us safe. They are based on habits of mind and assumptions that we may not be aware of, which is why we say it's the blind spot. On the other hand, developing creative competencies is a practice. The practice that leaders must do is develop awareness of the assumptions and the beliefs that drive their behaviors, develop new habits, make different choices based on purpose, vision, and values, and to practice, practice, practice. Like learning anything new, growing creative competencies requires discipline. Anderson and Adams identified these disciplines of effective leadership. First, leaders need to focus on their way of being as well as doing. They need to do their inner work, develop awareness of their operating system and their inner condition as a leader. We call this vertical development or consciousness development. Next is the ongoing discernment of personal purpose that is worthy of our deepest commitment. Sometimes as we get closer to our purpose, we find that it has actually evolved to something different. Robert Anderson often says that our purpose is constantly stalking us. The next is to translate that purpose into a vision of a desired future. Neuroscience tells us that a vision is a much more effective driver of behavior than goals alone. It creates the generative tension that moves us forward. Once we have that vision, the next step is to fully commit to that future. A critical factor is to clearly communicate the purpose and vision to the people that leaders are leading. Next, it's important to face and inquire into the fears and inner obstacles that limit us. It takes courage and willingness to be vulnerable. And that awareness of what it is that we're afraid of or what's driving us enables us to pause, take a breath, and actually choose to have a different approach. The last is developing intuition to balance and guide rational analysis. We know this as using multiple ways of knowing. And it's that idea of working on our inside, looking to the inside, what is driving us, as well as looking at the external data. Action disciplines are listed here too. First of all, learning to think systematically and design new systems. I would like to add that you do this by engaging with the people who work in the system. Systems are notoriously built to stay the same, so it takes a lot of energy to motivate and to engage people into that future vision and enables them to move forward. Next is authentically and courageously engaging in dialogue as we pursue our vision in cooperation with others. This courageous dialogue is the bridge between relationship and task. Seeking feedback, listening deeply, and sharing perspectives is all critical elements of effective creative leadership. Lastly, developing leadership learning communities. I've said it myself that it's an ongoing process to learn about leadership and develop our leadership practice, behaviors, and ways of being. Learning with others is a way to help keep us accountable to our vision and to engage in transformational learning. Thanks for listening to this presentation. It's been a pleasure to share a little bit about what I have learned about leadership. I wish you much success in your career. And you can reach me at the email address or go to our website to learn more, or if you'd like to ask any questions.